Well, howdy, folks, and welcome back to Slippy J Sunday. Haven't had one of these in a while, but I also haven't purchased another slip joint in quite a while, and I've covered most of the other ones in the past. This one, fairly new. I thought I really liked the design, and turns out I really do. As you can see here by the little slip case that it comes in, really nice soft leather, vegetable tin, I do believe. Which, not that well, it's better than the weird tanning process that some places go through that uses like animal urine and stuff like that. I think that's probably why most companies do specify vegetable tanning as being of a higher grade. All right, anyway, whatever. I digress. Now, this guy right here is the Hug. And yeah, that's the name that they decided to go with for it. They being I'll probably butcher the pronunciation, but Sasha Thiel or Theo, something like that. But this is an absolutely fantastic knife. Really attractive how they've done kind of these firework kind of explosion millings going on here. Now this has a bronze handle to it. And if you think that that makes the knife probably a little heavy, you are absolutely right. This thing is not playing around. It is 5.26 ounces. Yikes. They do, however, make a whole bunch of titanium variants of this. They are a bit more expensive. I think this one was right around 130. The titanium variants go up to about 180, 100, maybe a little bit north of that, depending on if you get carbon fiber or micarta and whatnot. But this one looked the most attractive to me. So yeah, I guess for the metric folks out there, that's 149 grams. Yeah, this thing ain't playing. Now it has a little nail nick for the opening on this thing. Oh, that does remind me. I think somebody had brought it up in the past. Maybe not in the most couth way in the comments, but there's apparently something that I have been a little bit misunderstood about as far as some of these traditionals go. What I thought was match strike would be something like this on this Rough Rider here, where we actually have some milling or something like that going on in an elongated nick, so that you can get the strike pattern for lighting up a match. Most of those have been kind of I don't know, made irrelevant over the years because of strike anywhere matches that don't really require a specific strike sort of thing. And something like this, I was under the impression of this is a matchstick nail pull, or just deployment style kind of thing. But apparently that name doesn't exist, and I'm apparently really stupid for ever saying it. So there you go. This is a, I don't know, long nail pull instead of a nail nick. Either way, whatever, we got a nail nick here. And trying to use the nail nick itself, kind of not all that great, but it has plenty of room for me to be able to grab onto the blade regardless. And this guy has quite the back spring tension going on in this thing here. Yeah, unless you really want to end up making this thing fail, there's no way that's going to happen. And it's easier on the first half there, and then the second half, yeah, it's got a lot more work to go on there. The sound is a little bit deadened inside, I suppose. It might be a little bit louder on some of the titanium models. It just kind of depends. I'm not sure necessarily here. Yeah, this is an Italian knife, therefore, and it's not one of the super cheap ones that's using, I don't know, 440C or N690 seems to be their go-to for their cheaper steel. But yeah, M390, of course. Yeah, there's such a little insignia there. And as far as I can tell so far, I haven't fully gotten this thing dull, but I have used it quite a bit. And after, doing my standard mirror polish, reprofiling and all that sort of stuff. This thing holds a heck of an edge, so that's great. This is a full-size knife. Y'all know I don't exactly have the smallest hands. Yeah, I think I basically come in right at 4 inches measured between my knuckles there. That usually constitutes XL size gloves or whatnot. In case you're not using the absolute hand tailored ones that will probably actually give a measurement much more like that. So yeah, that was another digression. Sorry about that. We have, of course, this is another Italian knife, so we have a crown spine. And that crowning also applies to all of the back spring too, so that's kind of nice. It does end basically here, and at that point that we have the drop there, we have a swedge that comes in pretty aggressively. So it's fairly thin out there towards the tip. You can see the tip. You can get some pretty nice needle-like precision, especially if you want to choke up on that blade like there. You have a whole bunch of control over that, so that's great. I don't really have any complaints about that. Let's see some other measurements here. We got a 3mm blade stock, which I do admit for a lot of slip joint knives, that might be a little bit thicker than you're kind of used to. Maybe not if you're into Tucson's slip joints. Most of those are pushing almost 4mm, except for this guy. There's a reason why I own more than one of these. These are fantastic. Anyway, so we have a decent amount going on there. Full flat grind. Excellent sharpening choil we got going on in here. Something that traditional knives generally keep in mind a little bit more for stone sharpening rather than, I don't know, sending it back into the factory where they're just going to sharpen it back up with a belt or something like that. So that's great. If you do sharpen with a stone or something like that, it's really not going to injure you or create too much of a smile going on there. So that's pretty darn fantastic. Yeah, the ergonomics on this thing are great. You can, of course, just grab it by the handle, give it the old gorilla grip right there. But while this isn't absolutely flush there, it's not uncomfortable at all if you want to choke up a little bit behind onto the blade there. Generally, like I've usually said, that's not my prerogative. If I'm doing something, then I would probably pinch grip up there. Otherwise, I still feel super nice and controlled back here if I'm really muscling through something. So I don't really feel the need to go any further. But hey, there's that. The handle here, yes, very, very, very heavy. And that also really has to do with the bronze handle that we got going on in here. Let's see if I can't. Sure, let me grab one of my my Olight things here. But yeah, looking on the inside, we can see we just have a little tiny bit of a cutout up top here for the stop pen when it's closed. But other than that, there's no milling for any weight reduction or anything like that. And because of that, yeah, this thing is very, very handle heavy. And I don't really mind that on this particular tool. It does make the blade feel nice and nimble when you're doing a lot of stuff. This thing is actually does a pretty good job for doing some wood carving and stuff like that. You can really get a lot of leverage going on with it. And yeah, just the fit and finish on this thing is pretty damn great. I don't really have any complaints there. I think they do have another one. I don't know if it's discontinued or not. I don't even really remember the name, but I did come across it that has a little bit more G10 sort of styling on the handle there. And maybe N690 on the blade, but I think it was M390. I don't know exactly. But it came with the same slip case that this guy does here. So that might be a cheaper route if you are looking for that. Yeah, I suppose if I had my druthers and I did pick up another one, I think the variant I would get would be the titanium with basically the center scale of micarta or inlay. That way it has a little bit there on the back side and the front side. To me, that just gives me a little bit more stability as far as the scale kind of goes. They also have the versions that have just the top bolster there, and then the inlay goes all the way to the end. I think they look a little bit more attractive with titanium at the end, but there you go. So this is one of those with the back spring the way it is. I highly suggest against actually taking this thing apart. Yes, it does have screws. Yes, they are Torx. We have T6 and then of course T8 for the pivot there. But because these don't really have liners on the inside, and with that back spring being really, really, really strong, they usually put these together in a jig at the factory. That way they don't really have to fight so much with the back spring when they're putting the blade in there. And you absolutely will do that. So, yeah, unless you really got some nasty stuff going on the inside and you really do have to take it apart, I would avoid that at all costs. But man, this thing's been a joy to be able to carry around with me. Since I've been in the office a little bit more, it is nice to toss in my pocket, at least when I'm wearing, some decent pants. If I'm, just it's a really, really hot day and I'm wearing, I don't know, some sort of thin shorts or something like that. Yeah, this thing might, tug my shorts around my ankles, and I wouldn't really want to do that in public. Maybe not even in private. I don't know. But so yeah, this thing is really, really heavy, as I did mention earlier. But if this is sitting down in the bottom of my pockets, then it can coexist with some other things here. This is my standard card case that I carry around, credit cards, ID, all that sort of crap. And because of that, I'm not going to open it because it has all sorts of personal information in there. This card case I got many years ago. I think Colibri, the lighter manufacturer, actually made it. But yeah, I can carry that around in the same pocket. And yeah, the leather ends up taking a little tiny bit of a beating. This thing didn't look immaculate out of the box. It has a little bit of a patina started on it, so I guess you don't feel super terrible bad about making it look a little bit more used. But man, this is an absolutely fantastic knife, and it's not a cheap one. I mean, as far as slip joints go and stuff like that, it's like I said, it was about $135, so kind of expensive. However, that does kind of price it right around in that same range as what GEC and some of the case high-end collaborations and stuff like that end up doing. But you do have much more modern materials. I mean, especially with the titanium sort of stuff there. But still, M390 does serve you a little bit better than 1095 will, as far as the edge retention and certainly in the corrosion resistance and all that sort of stuff here. So I shall go ahead and pull out a couple of other slip joints that people might be a little bit more familiar with to try to kind of compare those guys. I'll give you a little bit of extra measurements here. So I got 3.14 inches on the blade, but that does include this guy right here, ricasso. I'm gonna say that I might be wrong on that particular word, but I think that's correct. So you have basically 3 inches of fully sharpened blade length that you're able to use there. And it's 79.7 millimeters and fairly thick at 0.41 of an inch or 10.5 millimeters there. This is basically a sod buster from Boker. It is one of their magnum ones. It's not a very, very super special one. And it's using Damascus of, I don't know exactly. They didn't really list it, but I did like the snakewood handle that it had on there. So that's that. And, Boker obviously makes them in Germany, and they also have some plus variants. around. This is the Real Steel Luna. This is the knife center Darth Vader kind of colors, or Imperial colored ones. So it's got, G10. That G10 is slightly getting a little bit funky over time. I didn't really expect it not to. And I suppose, sure, I can actually compare it with another Italian-made knife. I don't know if this was made in the same factory or something like that. Not quite sure exactly who Cold Steel went through for these guys, but they are indeed made in Italy. This has a S35 VN blade. Of course, this is a carbon fiber without other liners, so this is like the polar opposite in terms of the weight goes. So there you go. There's a few others for comparison. Yeah, man, I don't know. Closing thoughts? I really do enjoy this thing a lot. It's kind of sad. I don't know. It seems like Viper doesn't get a huge amount of distribution for different retailers and stuff like that. Like I got this one off of White Mountain Knives, and they do have the Hug. I think they have like one other model there, and then checking some others like Knife Center or Blade HQ. They have a little bit different ones that are available, but nobody really seems to have the whole gamut. So kind of interesting. Maybe they're on the lighter end of U.S. distribution or something like that. But yeah, this is a fantastic piece. Really, really enjoying it. And because it's not taking up a pocket clip sort of thing going forward, then I don't really have problems wanting to carry it in my pocket and then carry some other knives. I do that quite a bit because I like to play with stuff. But I do suppose if I wanted to go that way, I could try and use the MKM pocket slip there. But yeah, a lot of it's going to be ending up sticking out of the pocket. Might make it a little bit easier to get out of here, but yeah, it's an option at least. So, alright, with all that being said, I suppose that's everything I wanted to cover with this thing. It's a big old heavy-duty slip joint. Super nice, safe, secure. Steel seems great. I am definitely happy with my purchase. So, there we go. As always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Man, subscribe.